जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining, and today we are discussing verse number 41 of chapter number 1 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And in the previous few verses, Arjuna is giving the fourth reason why he doesn't want to fight. He sees that if we fight this war, if the war happens, then the family or the dynasty will get destroyed and the family traditions will also get destroyed. This will also help in declining the religious processes and the irreligion will be going up. So Arjuna continues with the same thought in this verse. Let's see what the Sanskrit is. Shankaro narakayaiva kula gnanam kulasya cha patanti pitrohi esham lupta pindodaka kriya. So here there are certain terms which are very important, and this term which is used by Arjuna is pindodaka kriya is going to be lupta. Lupta means vanish or stopped. So let's begin understanding this verse. So first he is saying that Shankaro narakayaiva. Shankara means Varna Shankara, because he was discussing this topic in the last verse. So by unwanted progeny means Varna Shankara, what will happen? Narakayaiva means basically hellish situation will be created. For whom? Whom this hellish situation is going to be created? So for two people. One is Kula Gnanam Kulasya cha. So Kula Gnanam means for people who are present at that time. For them it will be a hellish situation. And for Kulasya cha means for the people who are responsible for destroying the family dynasty. For them also it is going to be a hellish condition. And then what is going to happen? He says, Patanti pitrohi esham. And then because the Varna Shankara or unwanted children, they are born in such a condition that they do not have proper care or proper upbringing or any kind of proper training. So what they do? They stop performing all kinds of family rituals. And one such family ritual Arjuna is saying, he is referring here as Pindodaka Kriya. So the Pindodaka Kriya will be stopped or vanished. So most of us are aware of performing such kind of kriyas, and we perform these kriyas at least once a year, and these kriyas are done for the ancestors who have passed away. For them we offer pinda and udaka. So pinda means food and udaka means water. So that is actually food and water given to the ancestor. Now what do we do this? So in nowadays people think that what is the need of doing all this kind of rituals? It is sheer waste of time and money. But Arjuna was not like that. Arjuna is a very cultured person, so he knows Shastra. So he is thinking for a very long term, and he is thinking that the ancestor will fall down because the Pindodaka Kriya is stopped. Right? So in Vedic culture, we have some people who are done extraordinary kind of punya, or good work or good deeds. Then they go to Swarga. But people who have done some average punya, for them, those who have performed reasonable dharma or followed reasonable dharma in their life, they go to Pitraloka. So not everybody goes to Pitraloka, but some of the ancestors, they go to Pitraloka. So when they go to Pitraloka, the way to connect with our ancestor, so this is an intergenerational connection or a link established by the process of Pindodaka Kriya. So our ancestors have given birth, we come in that family, they provide us everything that we have, and we need to do something for them. So when we do punya in this world, so in this earth only we can do punya or papa, right? In the Swarga, we only exhaust the punya, whereas in the lower region, people who are there, they go for the punishment purpose. So in the Naraka or in the lower region, the people who go there after their life, this life, then they exhaust their papa. So in Swarga, they exhaust their punya, and in lower region, they exhaust their papa. So when punya is done in this world, in this earthly realm, that punya actually contributes to the continued existence of our ancestor in the Pitraloka. So in earth we can do punya or some kind of kriya, that is one of the kriya is Pindodaka kriya, and when we do that, then they get the benefit of whatever we are doing here in the Pitraloka, so that the Pitras can actually stay in the Pitraloka. And if we fail to do that, then the ancestors will fall down. So this way we can see that Arjuna is envisioning devastation everywhere. So putra means, putra can be divided into two words, pu and tra. So putra means son actually, and there is a hell excuse me, there is a hell named Pum. So Pum nama naraka trayate iti putra. So this means that one who delivers from the planet or the hellish planet named as Pum. So a son or a putra is a deliverer of his ancestor from the Naraka. That's why he is called as Putra. How does he deliver? He delivers by performing such important rituals like Pindodaka Kriya. So when he does it, then the fathers or the ancestors can be delivered from this kind of hellish conditions. Any person who has actually taken birth has many kinds of death. And why these deaths? Why these multiple kinds of death? Because whoever or whatever they have done for us, we have to pay it back. Ultimately, actually, everything is done by Krishna. But Krishna is doing for us through that person. So we need to pay our debts. So those debts are called as rinas. Like for example, the mother feeding breast milk. The mother doesn't produce the breast milk. It is the Supreme Lord who has sent the soul in the mother's womb, now supplying the milk for the child through the mother. Similarly, whoever is doing whatever for us, actually it's Krishna doing for us. So it doesn't mean that we neglect those persons. We must respect them and value them for what they have done to us, since they are coming through Krishna as an instrument for us. So we need to reciprocate with them. So these are called as rinas. And we need to pay back that rina by some way of reciprocation. So the major kinds of rinas are, the first rinas or debt is the rishi rinas, or debt for the rishis. So all the sages, they have given us so much of blessings and mercy. So we need to return their debt. So how do we return the debt? By scrutinizingly studying the scriptures. So when we study the scriptures scrutinizingly, we repay the debt of the rishi. So in the same category, we have Guru. Guru means our spiritual master, who has taken the responsibility of taking us back home, back to Godhead. Right? So that is his responsibility. So because he has performed such act, of taking us back, or he is helping us or guiding us, we need to pay him back. So how do we pay back? So we pay back by becoming a God realized person and sharing whatever we have read and understood, sharing that teaching of Guru with many other souls, as many souls as possible in this world. So this is the way we pay the debt of Guru. Then the second one is Devarina. Devas. There are 33 crores devatas. And who those devatas are? They are running this universal government. Demigods like Indra, who helps us giving the rain, and other demigods like Surya, Vayu, Chandra. So they all help us to maintain ourselves in this world. So we need to pay them back. And how do we pay them back? We pay them back by performing yagna. There are different kind of yagna, like karmakanda yagnas, like Agnihotra yagna, and there are many other kinds of sacrifices that can be done to actually satisfy the devatas. Third kind of yagna is the bhutapta. So bhutas and aptas. So what are the bhutas? The bhutas are general living entities, and aptas are the relatives. So for general living entities, we pay back the rin by providing food for them, like providing food for the animals. We should feed the animals. And the fourth is bhut apta. Apta is the relatives. So how do we pay the debt of the relatives? By helping the relatives whenever they are in a distressful situation. And then the fourth category is the Pitririna. Pitririna means Pitris means they are our ancestors. So how do we pay the Pitririna? By performing Pindodaka Kriya. So that will help our Pitris or our ancestors to liberate if they are stuck. Right? So Arjuna is saying that if this Varna Shankara or unwanted children's or uncultured or untrained children's, if they all are going to stop these rituals, then this will create a hellish kind of situation right on the earth, and also for our ancestors who are stuck in the Pitriloka. But then Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that one who has taken the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, means one who has taken the shelter of Lord, then what happens? Then they are not obligated to anyone else. So he is referring a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is there in the purport. We'll discuss this too. So then person is not obliged to perform all these kind of rituals. So how does this work? Since they all of us are connected to the Lord, then the Lord takes care of our debt. So we didn't have to pay debt to each and every kind of individuals. So let's read the translation and the purport. So the translation goes as increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life, both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. So this unwanted population are going to cause hellish condition in this life and for the Pitris. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down. Why they fall down? Because the performance of offering them the food and water are entirely stopped. So because this food or offering is not given to them, then this kind of ancestors who are stuck in the Pitriloka, they will not get their food and they will not be able to, come out of the clutches of the Pitriloka, and they will basically fall down. So let's read the purport, what Srila Prabhupada has to say in the purport. Offerings for the forefathers. This is the first point he is bringing up. According to the rules and regulations of the fruitive activities, which is Karma Kanda. So according to Karma Kanda, what happens? There is a need of periodical food and water to be given to the forefathers of the family. This offering is performed by worship of Vishnu, because eating the remnants of the food offered to Vishnu can deliver one from all kinds of sinful reactions. So when this Pindodaka sacrifices are performed here, we see actually this person is performing the sacrifice. So these are all this food which is item is given, actually the offering is given to Lord Vishnu. And because the offering is given to Lord Vishnu, he is the supreme controller. When he accepts, then that result of his acceptance is given to that piety which is created is given to the ancestor. So this is how it works. So that's why the food is only offered to Lord Vishnu. So this offering is performed by worship of Vishnu only, because Lord Vishnu accepts this offering, then he delivers the ancestors from the sinful reactions of the action of whatever actions they have done in the past. Why those offerings are done? Sometimes the forefather may be suffering from various kinds of sinful reaction, and sometimes some of them cannot even acquire a gross material body, and they are forced to remain in subtle bodies as ghosts. Right. So when the person dies in this material world, if the person has performed a lot of sin, then even a gross body is not given to that person, to that soul. So then the soul has to remain in a subtle body, and that is the form of a ghost. Thus, when the remnants of prasadam food are offered to the forefathers by descendants, the forefathers are released from ghostly and other kind of miserable life. So by offering the food to Lord Vishnu, and performing all the kind of rituals, we can help our forefather to get out of this miserable condition of life. So these are like some family traditions. Normally all the families in India, they follow this. So family traditions. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. Such help rendered to forefather is a family tradition, and those who are in devotional life are required to perform, or those who are not in devotional life are required to perform such rituals. Yes. So people who are not Vishnu Bhakta or Krishna Bhakta, they are not following the devotional life, then they have to perform this kind of family traditions to help their forefather. So what about people who are following the devotional life? For them, what is required? So for them, what happens to someone who becomes devotee of the Lord? So one who is engaged in a devotional life is not required to perform such actions. They are not required. Simply by performing devotional service or bhakti, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of miseries. So this is the advantage of becoming a devotee. When we become devotee, when we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, then in Bhagavatam it is given, that 21 generations, they are delivered. They are delivered. Their sinful reactions are all eliminated. So just by one person becoming devotee, he can help the entire generation. So that's why Prabhupada is writing, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of miseries. Now this is not some statement by somebody. It is the Lord who is giving the statement to Prahlad Maharaj. Lord Nrsimhadev, when he comes to protect him, he gives this statement. Actually, Prahlad Maharaj requests Nrsimhadev to free his father from whatever sins he have done. So when Prahlad Maharaj requests in this way to Lord Nrsimhadev, he says that not only your father, but your 21 generations are relieved from all kind of sinful reaction. Their sinful reactions have all been eliminated. And then they are given opportunity to perform bhakti. So this is the advantage of one person becoming pure devotee of the Lord. So it is stated in Bhagavatam. So this is a verse which we are talking about, where Srila Prabhupada brings the point that by using this verse from the scripture, he is saying that Devarshi Bhutapta Nirnam Pritrinam. So this verse says that anyone who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Mukunda means Krishna, the giver of liberation, giving up all kind of obligation, and has taken to the path of in all seriousness, owes neither duties nor obligation to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. So these are the categories which we already discussed earlier, that we have these rinas, or rina means debt, rin, so or debts. So we have these rins for the demigods, for the sages, for living entities in general, because they all are actually helping us. Our forefathers similarly have helped us in this life, right? So we have obligations for them. But this verse says that one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, then for that person he has no such obligation, right? Neither he has any duties nor any obligation to the demigod, sages, general living entities, family members, humankinds, or forefathers. Such obligations are automatically, how his obligations are fulfilled? Such obligations are automatically fulfilled by the performance of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is what happens when we become devotee. All the obligations are taken care by, or all the debts are actually taken care by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Mukunda, or Supreme Lord Krishna. So this is the advantage, right, of becoming a devotee. So this is the 6 points which we were talking about since last 3 or 4 verses. So fighting will cause family destruction in the following 6-step sequence, right? So first is death of the elderly family member. This is given in verse number 39. And when the elderly members of the family die, then what happens? Family tradition stops and irreligion increases. This is all discussed in 39. And then in 40, for the verse, it's discussed that when irreligion increases, then what happens? Women becomes polluted. That is verse number 40. And when women become polluted, then Varna Shankara, or unwanted progeny with degraded consciousness are born. This is verse number 40. And in today's verse, it is said that when the Varna Shankara is born, they are untrained. So what they do? They create hellish life for the family and destroyers of the family. And they stop all kind of rituals because they don't know that these rituals are good for our ancestors. So they stop all those kind of rituals, and the ancestors will fall down because of the performance of the offering them food, water are entirely stopped. Okay. So this is a result. So the whole system of Varnashram, which was designed to help the living entity gradually transcends from material life to spiritual life. So Arjuna is saying that this whole thing, Varnashram system, is going to fail if he is going to be engaging in this war. He is going to give one more argument in the verse number 42. So that we'll discuss in the next session. So thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol.